Hey, so I'm recording this for my friends who have asked me in the past for some, financial literacy advice. If I don't know you, but you're watching this anyway, you somehow found this and you're watching this anyway, thank you for watching. Uh, Please know that I'm not a financial advisor. I didn't study finance or economics, but finance is something that I am very interested in, and hopefully, uh, this video, this series of videos, can help you plan for your future and set yourself up for success in retirement or, achieving your other dreams without having to work like a dog for every single penny of it. Um, This video is going to be about why you should invest. If you don't need to be convinced of why you should invest and you just want to invest and you want to know how to do that, you can skip this one and go on to the next video. If you are like some people that I know who are very investment shy, they are more scared of losing their money than they are excited about the prospect of making making money with their money. This is for you. This is why you should invest, and it's very simple. You have to understand that putting money into a box or a coffee tin and putting it somewhere where no one knows, uh, where no one's going to find it, that kind of saving doesn't work. And the reason why is because with every dollar that you make, or with all the money that you accumulate in your lifetime, there are forces within the economy that are headwinds, which keep your money down or threaten to devalue the money that you have or take money away from you, such as taxes, or the big thing that I want to talk about today is inflation. And then there are tailwinds that help push you forward, such as starting a business, or getting royalties for something that you created, or getting a raise at your job, or investing. So, the reason why I want to talk about inflation is because inflation is something that is ongoing, for pretty much all of history. You know, ever since the idea has been around, there has been inflation. There have been periods of deflation, which is actually even worse than inflation. Inflation can be healthy. Deflation is generally bad. Uh, but inflation is, it's the gradual and consistent inflating of prices of the things that you use, right? And I consider this one of those things that can really eat away at your retirement savings, your nest egg, and people don't really talk about it enough. Not unless you're actually in finance, or or you're in economics, or you're already investing and you buy bonds and things like that. Um, so inflation, though, is a very real threat to the money that you save. So this is a definition of inflation right here, and it's basically just the decline of purchasing power, uh, of whatever money you've got if you don't grow it. There's a scene in Austin Powers, in the first Austin Powers movie, I believe, where Doctor Evil, he has some nefarious plan and he's holding the world's leaders hostage, and uh, his demand was $1 million, and everybody looks at him like, what are you talking about? Just $1 million, and that in a nerd way is inflation, because he was frozen and he was thawed out like decades later, and what his concept of $1 million is no longer worth $1 million, right? And that's inflation. Um, Here's another illustration. So uh, this is Stats Canada, and you will see, this is gas prices. and we're going to look at gas prices from 2001 to 2021. So the last 20 years worth of gas prices. And in Toronto, where I live, in November 2001, 1 liter of gas was 60 cents. And you know how much gas costs now. So, and that's inflation. They measure inflation by taking a bunch of staple things and services, goods and services that you use every day, putting that all into a basket and calculating how much that basket increases in price as the years go on. Right. So if there's an inflation rate of like 2.5%, for example, that means $100 worth of stuff in that basket. If that basket of goods is costs $100 today, then next year it will cost $102.50. Okay, so it's gone up 2.5%. That's inflation. Deflation is bad, just in case you're curious, because deflation typically is a result of decreased demand, which means people aren't going out and buying things. So that means that the economy is stagnating, and typically, that leads into a recession. So inflation is a constant in our day-to-day life without us even really knowing about it. This is the rate of inflation in Canada starting from like 1986 to what is projected in 2026. Okay, so 40 years worth of inflation. You can see that it goes up and down, but typically the average inflation rate is like 2.5 to 3%. And I bring this up because this inflation happens whether or not you are aware. It happens whether or not you have a job. You can have zero income and you suffer inflation in your day-to-day life. As long as you're participating in the economy, you're paying rent, you're buying food, you're putting gas in your car, you're putting clothes on your back or your kids' backs, you are experiencing inflation. Which means that if you just took money and put it into a box and hid it somewhere, that money devalues as time goes on. $1 million, if you have $1 million when you're 20, that $1 million will buy you a lot more stuff when you're 20 versus if you just, squirreled away that $1 million, hid it somewhere, dug it back up again when you're 65, 45 years later, and you still have $1 million. That $1 million is not going to buy you the same amount of stuff. 45 years ago, 1976, a home did not cost $1 million, but they cost $1 million now, right? Which means that you have to invest, and not just invest. You have to invest wisely, not in something, like a GIC or a government bond that pays you less than 2.5% or whatever, 2.5-3%. You should aim for at least 2.5% return so that you can just keep pace with inflation. GICs, you're not saving money with GICs, you're not saving money with government bonds, you're not saving money by putting it into a savings account. It's very poorly named. It's not really a savings account, it's more of a lose money slower account. So that is the first step, recognizing that if you don't invest, your money is losing value the longer you have it. The second thing you need to realize is whatever you want to invest in has to clear the rate of inflation, or else you are not making money. Now, how do you do that? That'll be the next video.